The Young and the Restless. Dominic's kidnapping horrifies Devon and Abby. Matt snatches Victor's grandchild? The Young and the Restless YNR. Spoilers hint that Dominic Newman Abbott Chancellors, Rain and River, where kidnapping would horrify Devon Winters, Brighton James, and Abby Winters, Melissa Ordway. Will Matt Clark, a.k.a. Mitch Bacall, Roger Howarth, go after Victor Newman's Eric Braeden grandchild for leverage? YNR fans can expect someone close to Devon to land in a dangerous situation soon. An immediate family member will end up in jeopardy. So what if it's Devon's young son? We know that Devon and Abby's marriage will face some challenges thanks to the storyline that's brewing. If Dominic gets abducted, the stress could certainly take a toll on their relationship. That's especially true if Devon blames Abby's father for Dominic's snatching. Abby might insist the blame should fall solely on Matt Clark, but Devon may be upset with Victor for riling Matt up and putting Dominic at risk. After Victor left Matt in financial ruin, Matt realized he needed to get some leverage to reclaim what he lost. Matt also hinted about a scheme that the Newmans wouldn't see coming, so he may ultimately decide to go after Dominic. Let's face it, Abby is the forgotten Newman child most of the time. Dominic is somewhat forgotten by association and doesn't live on the highly protected Newman ranch. It would be far easier for Matt to target Dominic than one of the other high-profile Newmans that Victor might expect. At the same time, Matt knows how important any relative is to Victor, especially a vulnerable little grandson. In other words, Dominic just might be the perfect kidnapping target. The idea of Dominic getting abducted probably isn't on Victor's radar, so Matt may be able to pull off a swift, easy snatching. Dominic is small enough for Matt to scoop him up and take off in a hurry, especially if Matt gets the kid to trust him. It's worth mentioning that Dominic's name came up in the December 11th episode since there was some talk about his upcoming recital. What if Matt kidnaps Dominic backstage at that recital or something along those lines? Whatever the case, some unsettling news is ahead for Victor and his family, so stay tuned for updates on all the turmoil. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Matt will unleash his wrath in some wild ways when the time is right. Today's shocking news of The Young and the Restless. Dominic's kidnapping horrifies Devon and Abby. Matt snatches Victor's grandchild? The gilded cages of Genoa City have been violently rattled as one of the town's most treasured children, young Dominic Newman Abbott Winters Chancellor, has vanished. A cold, sickening realization has swept over the Chancellor estate, plunging Abby Newman Abbott Chancellor and Devon Hamilton into a nightmare from which there seems no waking. The question burning on every Genoa City resident's lips, and yours is chilling. Has the notoriously vengeful and unstable Matt Clark snatched Victor Newman's great-grandchild as the ultimate act of retribution? The very mention of Matt Clark, Victor Newman's long-lost bitter brother, is enough to send shivers down the spine of any longtime viewer. Matt has resurfaced not for a family reunion, but for a twisted game of revenge, having recently targeted Victor's grandson, Noah Newman, in a devastating psychological trap. Now, as the search for Dominic intensifies, all roads of suspicion point to the man whose obsession with the Newman family's suffering knows no bounds. This is a crisis that threatens to shatter the fragile peace of three of Genoa City's most powerful families, the Newmans, the Abbotts, and the Winters. A mother's scream, the chilling discovery. The day began like any other at the sprawling Chancellor estate. Abby, recently married to Devon and finally finding her footing in a happy, blended family life, was preparing for a day of meetings. Dominic, or Dom, as they affectionately call him, was due for his morning nap. It was the lack of sound, the unnatural silence, that first caught Abby's attention. When I went to check on him, the crib was empty. Just the stuffed elephant, bow tie, sitting there like a morbid joke. No note, no sign of forced entry, just air where my baby should be. Abby's tear-choked confession to Detective Chance Chancellor, who, though no longer her husband, remains a vital part of Dominic's life, epitomized the raw terror gripping the family. The immediate panic was absolute. The Chancellor estate is a fortress, protected by state-of-the-art security, paid for, ironically, by Victor Newman himself. Yet the baby was gone. The kidnapper, whoever they are, is clearly sophisticated, methodical, and chillingly intimate with the family's routines. Devin and Abby, united in agony. The tragedy has instantly ripped Devin and Abby's burgeoning happiness to shreds. Their love story, born from a deep friendship and the shared journey of creating Dominic with Mariah Copeland as a surrogate, has always been unconventional. Now, their shared parenthood is defined by a terrifying, mutual fear. Devin Hamilton's reaction was a gut-wrenching mix of ferocious protective instinct and crushing despair. As Dominic's biological father and one of his two legal dads, his bond with the boy is profound. Devin immediately seized control, his calm, measured demeanor replaced by frantic energy. He called in his own security team, bypassing even Victor's initial offers, desperate to be the one to find his son. "I can't breathe. I can't think of anything but seeing his face again, feeling his little hands," Devin reportedly confided in his sister, Lily Winters, the anguish in his voice palpable. "I already lost my father, Neil. I refuse to lose my son." Abby Newman Abbott Chancellor, Victor's daughter, Ashley's child, and a member of the Abbott family, is the very definition of a soap opera heiress in crisis. Her past trauma, including the kidnapping of Mariah while she was pregnant with Dominic by her ex-husband Stitch Rayburn, has resurfaced, creating a fresh wave of paralyzing anxiety. The last kidnapping ended with the safe delivery of her son, but this time, the stakes are impossibly higher. The couple, who only recently solidified their bond through marriage, now face the ultimate test. Their co-parenting relationship with Chance, once a source of lingering tension, has been superseded by a desperate, shared mission. They are a united front of two terrified parents, ready to move mountains to get their child back. The prime suspect, Matt Clark's twisted revenge. While the Genoa City Police Department begins the laborious work of sifting through evidence, the Newman and Abbott power players have zeroed in on one name, Matt Clark. Matt Clark, Victor's half-brother, has a decades-long history of bitter resentment and a recent, terrifying reemergence. His current revenge plot has centered on Victor's immediate family, most notably his attack on Nick and Sharon's son, Noah Newman. Matt is a master manipulator, a chameleon who uses psychological warfare before resorting to brute force. His ultimate goal is the total annihilation of Victor's sense of control and his family's happiness. The motive is clear: attack the legacy. Dominic, with his lengthy name, Newman Abbott Winters Chancellor, is a living symbol of Victor Newman's enduring dynasty, an heir to multiple fortunes, and a testament to the family's ability to overcome crisis and multiply. Kidnapping Dominic would be a masterful, multi-layered strike. A direct blow to Victor. Dominic is a great-grandson, a member of the next generation Victor prizes most. Taking him is an attack on the future of Newman Enterprises. A weapon against Abby. Abby is Victor's daughter. Hurting her, especially through her child, is a classic Clark/Newman feud tactic. A takedown of Devin and Chance. Dominic is also a Winters and Chancellor heir. This move destabilizes the entire network of alliances Victor relies on. The dark rumors circulating are that Matt, having failed to break Victor through Noah, has escalated his twisted game. He may be seeking not just money, but a complete psychological breakdown of the family unit. The man who orchestrated an intricate, calculated torment of Noah is more than capable of executing a kidnapping that appears utterly untraceable. Victor Newman unleashed. The mustache strikes back. The news of Dominic's disappearance hit Victor Newman like a physical blow. When his grandchildren are threatened, the mustache transforms from ruthless businessman into a terrifying, unstoppable force. Victor was already embroiled in a massive counteroffensive against Matt Clark in Los Angeles, where he had been actively working to rescue Noah. Reports confirm that Victor has leveraged a dangerous new AI program, stolen from Kane Ashby, to digitally cripple Matt Clark's financial empire, forcing him into a corner. Now, Victor must shift his focus entirely, bringing the full weight of his resources, his private security teams, his network of international contacts, and his bottomless wealth, to bear on finding Dominic. Matt Clark is a cockroach, and I will step on him. But first, I will save my family, Victor is rumored to have stated, his voice a low, terrifying rumble as he ordered his jet prepped for an immediate return to Genoa City. The drama promises an epic confrontation. Matt Clark, spiraling from Victor's financial attack, is now cornered, desperate, and potentially holding the most precious leverage in Genoa City. Will Victor's merciless pursuit force Matt to make a fatal mistake, or will the great Victor Newman be forced to meet the kidnapper's demands? The Genoa City fallout. Whispers of the past. The kidnapping has not just affected Abby and Devin. It has sent shockwaves through the entire town, dredging up old traumas and suspicion. Mariah's agony. As Dominic's surrogate mother and godparent, Mariah Copeland is reliving her own past trauma. Her initial kidnapping while carrying the baby left her with severe PTSD and separation anxiety. The thought of Bowie being in danger will undoubtedly send her spiraling back to the darkness she'd barely escaped. Nick and Sharon's fear. Having just dealt with the fallout of their son Noah's own entanglement with Matt Clark, Nick and Sharon Newman are terrified. They know Matt is ruthless, and his willingness to use their child as a pawn confirms their greatest fears about Victor's brother. The chance factor. Ex-husband and co-parent, Chance Chancellor, the GSPD detective, is officially leading the police investigation. His connection to the case is personal, creating a terrifying conflict of interest. Will his professional duties clash with his desperate need to save the child he still considers his son? The clock is ticking as City holds its breath. As the hours tick by, the tension in Genoa City is unbearable. The Chancellor estate is a hive of activity, swarming with police and Victor's private security. Abby and Devin wait by the phone, listening for a demand, a sign, anything that proves their son is alive. The horrifying prospect of Dominic being in Matt Clark's unstable hands is the darkest cloud hanging over the city. Matt is a man who acts out of deep-seated psychological damage and a twisted need for dominance. If he has Dominic, he will use the child to inflict maximum pain on the Newmans. This is more than a ransom plot. It's a battle for the soul of Genoa City. The search for little Dominic is officially underway, and all eyes are on Victor Newman and the depths of depravity Matt Clark is willing to sink to. The coming days will be a brutal test of every family bond, every alliance, and every ounce of resolve held by the Newmans, the Abbotts, and the Winters. Will Victor's power be enough to retrieve his great-grandchild, or will Matt Clark finally succeed in tearing the Newman dynasty apart? Today's shocking news of Victor Newman unleashed. The mustache strikes back. Newman Enterprises takeover. Genoa City, December 12, 2025. The seismic shifts in Genoa City's corporate and personal landscape have always been traced back to one man, Victor Newman. But today, the ground didn't just shake, it fractured. In a move of staggering audacity that has left even his children reeling and his bitter rival, Jack Abbott, momentarily speechless, Victor Newman has executed a three-pronged masterstroke, a digital and emotional coup d'etat so complex and ruthless it can only be titled, The Mustache Strikes Back. Part 1. The Digital Devastation of Jabot. The corporate world braced for a blow, but no one predicted the sheer, cold-blooded efficiency of Victor's weapon. For weeks, the whispers in the hallways of Newman Enterprises and the clandestine meetings at the athletic club focused on Victor's rumored AI gambit against Jabot. Jack Abbott, ever the defensive warrior, had warned his family that Victor possessed an AI weapon capable of destroying their family legacy. He was right, and yet, tragically, he was utterly unprepared for the scope. Victor's custom-built artificial intelligence, code-named Nemesis, didn't just steal a few proprietary formulas or crash Jabot's website. It did something far more insidious. At 9 a.m. Central Standard Time this morning, precisely 1 hour before the rescheduled Abbott Communications launch party, Nemesis simultaneously executed an unparalleled digital assault. The supply chain collapse. The AI infiltrated Jabot's international logistics network, subtly but systematically altering shipping manifests, procurement orders, and quality control data. Within minutes, overseas shipments of core Jabot ingredients were rerouted to a deserted warehouse in Patagonia, while the packaging line began to receive thousands of tons of a completely inert, non-cosmetic filler. Sources confirm Jabot's entire Q4 production is now worthless. The investor purge. Nemesis didn't just scare away investors. It leveraged obscure, decades-old internal trading documents that even Jack and Kyle didn't know existed, to trigger a massive automated sell-off. The system painted a picture of deep-seated, systemic financial instability at Jabot. In less than 30 minutes, the stock price plummeted by a catastrophic 78%. The public humiliation. As Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra prepared to launch their new venture, Abbott Communications, Nemesis hijacked the massive digital screen set up for the event. Instead of the sleek, new logo, a loop of deeply embarrassing, unretouched archival footage from Jabot's past aired, including young Jack Abbott's ill-advised 80s perm, a series of failed product launches, and a leaked confidential memo where John Abbott Sr. himself once referred to his company's management as a nest of vipers. The launch party became a media spectacle of mockery and a funeral for Jabot's public image. The scale of this isn't just business, it's personal annihilation. He didn't just want the company. He wanted to destroy the idea of the Abbotts, stated an anonymous source close to Jack Abbott. Victor is telling the world, "You got that." Part 2. The ultimate betrayal, Nikki's fury unleashed. The corporate chaos, however, was only the opening salvo. The true, agonizing shockwave emanated from the Newman ranch itself, where the foundation of Genoa City's most powerful couple, Victor and Nikki Newman, was violently shattered. It began on Wednesday when Nikki overheard Victor's final conversation with his AI specialist, a chillingly casual monologue where he boasted of his fail-safes and how no one, not even Nikki, could stop the digital clock. Nikki Newman, the woman who has stood by Victor through amnesia, heart attacks, and countless marriages, finally reached her breaking point. The mustache's greatest weakness has always been his unshakable belief that he can control the consequences of his own actions. He had factored in Jack's counter-move, Billy's histrionics, and even Adam's treachery. He had forgotten to factor in the soul of his wife. In a scene that will forever be etched into the minds of those present, a small but highly dramatic gathering at the ranch meant to celebrate Noah Newman's safe return. Nikki Newman, dressed in a stark white power suit, walked to the head of the dining table and issued a single, earth-shattering statement to her husband. "Victor, you have always claimed to protect your family, but today you have only protected your ego. You have poisoned the well of this entire city with your endless vendetta. You will not control my future, nor the legacy of my children. I am leaving you. And this time, it's not a temporary divorce. It is the end of an era." She didn't stop there. Leveraging her intimate knowledge of Newman Enterprises and a highly secretive, decades-old prenuptial agreement, a document only she and Michael Baldwin were privy to, Nikki executed a stunning financial counterattack. In a move that mirrors the bold maneuver she used against him 20 years ago, Nikki's preemptive legal filings have momentarily frozen over $500 million in liquid Newman Enterprises assets, tying them up in an immediate, highly publicized divorce proceeding. This action effectively kneecapped Victor's planned follow-up maneuver, a hostile takeover bid for the now crippled Jabot. Victor Newman, the man who never flinched, was reportedly seen by staff clutching his chest as he stared at his wife. The great Victor Newman had been struck down by the one person he truly loved, the one person he thought was his unassailable ally. Nikki Newman, the quiet wild card, had become the ultimate game-changer. Part 3. The Unleashed Shocker, Victor's Legacy Bomb. The city was in pandemonium. Jabot was in ruins, the Newman family was in public collapse, and the golden couple of Genoa City was over. But Victor Newman is not a man to leave a battlefield without a final, defining statement. At a hastily called late-night press conference, a press conference that included only the Newman children, Victoria, Nick, and Adam, a shell-shocked Jack Abbott, and an unnerved but present Nicky Victor, his voice low and cold, dropped the final, devastating truth. The AI you saw today, Nemesis, was not just a tool to hurt Jack, Victor growled, his famous mustache twitching with controlled fury. It was the first test of a new security paradigm for my company. I built it to protect Newman Enterprises against an enemy far more dangerous than any Abbott. He paused, scanning the faces of his three main children, his eyes lingering on Adam. The enemy is the next generation of Newman greed. The endless infighting, the betrayals, the lack of vision. My children, you have all failed the tests I set for you. You have prioritized spite over stability, and your own petty ambitions over the legacy I built. Then came the hammer blow. Victor Newman announced the immediate, permanent restructuring of Newman Enterprises into a non-profit, charitable foundation, effective January 1st. Newman Enterprises, the corporate entity, will cease to exist, he declared. Its vast assets, its holdings, its liquid wealth, its technological infrastructure, and every single cent currently in its accounts will be rolled into the Cora Miller Foundation for Global Opportunity, named for my mother. The foundation's charter, which Victor immediately filed and made public, dictates that all future profits will be directed toward international educational programs and poverty reduction. Crucially, the charter specifies an ironclad board of trustees, comprised of retired, non-Genoa city executives and global philanthropic leaders, with an explicit irrevocable clause. No member of the Newman or Abbott family can ever hold a position on the board, manage its assets, or draw a salary from the foundation. Victor Newman didn't just strike back, he vaporized the throne. Victoria Newman, whose life was built on inheriting the CEO chair, was reportedly escorted out of the press conference by security after a furious outburst, screaming about the betrayal of her birthright. Nick Newman, torn between disgust at his father's cruelty and a grim respect for the move's finality, could only state he found the one way to win the game that no one else was playing, by destroying the board. Adam Newman, for once, was silent. His decades of plotting to take the company were rendered utterly meaningless in one single, signature Victor move. His ambition had been made redundant. The aftermath, a new Genoa city. The mustache strikes back was not a defense. It was an act of complete, legacy-defining scorched earth. By dissolving the very structure that provided his power, Victor Newman has simultaneously crippled Jack Abbott and Jabot, leaving them vulnerable to external threats, but also taking away the prize he would have used to humiliate them further, delivered a final, painful defeat to his children, who are now forced to build their own empires from the ground up, completely independent of the Newman name and fortune, prevented Nicky from fully leveraging her financial freeze, as the assets she froze are now bound for charitable use, effectively neutering her legal maneuver into a mere footnote of moral victory. Victor's final words before leaving the podium, a figure of solitary, cold-eyed triumph, will undoubtedly become the new maxim of Genoa City. You see, in the end, no one takes what is mine. If I can't have the empire, then none of you will. The greatest power is the power to walk away from it all, leaving your enemies and your heirs to fight over the ashes. Now, Genoa City can finally know peace, or at least a new kind of war. The great Victor Newman is unleashed, and the world he left behind is a smoking ruin. The question now is, what does a power-hungry, brilliant, and newly unencumbered Victor Newman do next? The answer sends a shiver through the entire town, because for the first time in 45 years, the mustache is free. The young and the restless. For blissful bubbles burst, these couples need more drama. The young and the restless, Y&R. Spoilers hint that 4 blissful bubbles could burst. These happy couples need more drama. So let's discuss which ones might have some disasters brewing. 1. Adam and Chelsea. First, we should mention Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, and Chelsea Lawson, Melissa Claire Egain, since they've landed in the most boring zone possible for a soap couple. Chelsea and Adam's relationship is solid, but that also means they get very little airtime and don't have much to do on any given day. If that's ever going to change, Y&R will have to deliver some obstacles and shake things up. Chelsea and Adam's happiness can't last forever, so maybe it's time to rattle them with some challenges that could put their reunion to the test. 2. Jack and Diane. Likewise, Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, and Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, are perhaps a little too comfortable in their marital bliss. Diane and Jack are a good team in more ways than one, but perhaps Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, could decide to change that. Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, might as well hit Jack where it really hurts and try to blow up his relationship. Although Victor's been busy plotting against Sabot, there may come a point when the feud gets a bit more personal. If Victor manages to ruin Jack and Diane's relationship somewhere down the line, that could bring some strong emotions and some powerful scenes. 3. Victor and Nikki. Of course, Victor and Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, tend to live in a blissful bubble of their own, but she doesn't like the fact that he's scheming against Jack and his loved ones. The further this feud goes, the more cracks could develop in Nikki and Victor's relationship. Victor doesn't like it when Nikki sides with Jack, so that could spell trouble. Plus, we can't forget that Matt Clark, aka Mitch Bacall, Roger Howarth, is on his way to Genoa City, so he'll unleash a major Newman crisis. That'll guarantee some drama for Nikki and Victor to contend with, so that could derail their relationship in other ways. 4. Devin and Abby. Devin Winters, Bryton James, and Abby Winters, Melissa Ordway, have a wonderful marriage, but some conflict and curveballs are going to affect their romance soon. Y&R is going to throw some danger at someone closely connected to Devin, so we'll see if this involves Dominic Newman Abbott Winters Chancellor, Rain and River Ware, Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, or someone else. Some unsettling news will lead to problems in Devin and Abby's marriage one way or another, so there could be some risks taken and arguments over what to do next. The Young and the Restless spoilers say some blissful bubbles are on the verge of bursting, so stick with us for updates on any major hurdles. Today's shocking news in Genoa City. For blissful bubbles burst. These couples need more drama. Genoa City is buzzing, but not with the electric charge of a good old-fashioned soap opera feud. After a whirlwind of high-stakes danger, the Matt Clark / Sienna saga, some of our key couples have settled into a peace that, frankly, is putting fans to sleep. This isn't a vacation resort. It's the Young and the Restless. We tune in for the scandals, the betrayals, and the heart-wrenching drama that has defined this show for decades. Today's word on the street is a cry for chaos. For specific pairings, currently basking in a dangerously blissful bubble, are ripe for a massive, soap-shattering explosion. Their quiet contentment is an insult to the city's chaotic history, and it's high time the writers inject a lethal dose of conflict to remind us why we watch. The 4 blissful bubbles, ready to burst. The tension is quietly mounting, but it needs a catalyst. Here are the 4 couples whose relative happiness must be immediately sacrificed at the altar of high drama, and the precise, shocking twists they need to stay relevant. 1. Noah and Sienna, the calm before the Audra storm. Noah Newman, Rory Gibson, and Sienna Bacall, Tamara Braun, have just survived a kidnapping ordeal, which usually serves to solidify a couple. They are currently wrapped up in a protective bubble, with Noah pushing Sienna to stay in Genoa City, fearing for her safety from her estranged husband, Matt Clark. The blissful bubble, a shared trauma bond, Noah's protective nature, and the sense of security Sienna has found with the Newmans. They are acting like they've found their forever after, having settled in after the chaos of their affair. The needed drama, the X Factor strikes back. This bubble isn't just bursting. It's being slashed by a razor-sharp, ambitious blonde, Audra Charles Zuleika Silver. The shocking twist, the recent charged encounter between Noah and Audra at the athletic club, was not just a passing glance. Audra's current strategic deal with Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, is directly tied to her desperate underlying need to prove herself, which leads her back to Noah. Noah's lack of candor with Sienna about his deep, complicated history with Audra, specifically the pregnancy and loss, is the ticking time bomb. The conflict, Sienna, having just escaped one man's obsessive control, will feel utterly betrayed to learn Noah has hidden a past so profound. The mother/son vibe critic spiel between Noah and Sienna, stemming from their previous work history and current protective dynamic, will make the sexual and emotional spark between Audra and Noah look like a 5-alarm fire by comparison. The ultimate burst, Sienna, already unstable and now facing a powerful, attractive rival, will seek a dangerous alliance with an enemy of Audra's, perhaps a still vindictive Claire, Haley Aaron, or even the manipulative Phyllis, Michelle Stafford. This will drag her deeper into the Newman-Abbott corporate war, alienating Noah and potentially reigniting the Matt Clark danger. Noah must be forced to choose between the woman he promised to protect and the volatile ex-love who embodies the dramatic chaos he was trying to leave behind. 2. Victor and Nikki Newman, the perpetual protectiveness gambit. Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, and Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, are the quintessential power couple, but their marriage is trapped in a predictable cycle. Victor schemes, lies for protection. Nikki finds out. She threatens to leave, and then she forgives him. Their current drama involves Victor's moves against Matt Clark and his secrecy from Nikki about the entire Noah/Sienna situation. The blissful bubble, the comfort of familiarity, the shared empire, and Nikki's recent decision to tolerate Victor's methods, despite her initial concerns. Their bond seems unbreakable, but their conflicts are stale. The needed drama, a true betrayal of trust. Victor's obsession with control and crushing enemies must finally cost him something real, not just a temporary sulk from his wife. The shocking twist, Victor's current plot against Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, and the Abbott family, perhaps using his possession of Kane's Billy Flynn AI program, is too big to keep quiet. Nikki overhears something, a phone call, a coded message, or a private conversation that reveals the true, cold-blooded depth of Victor's plan. It's not just a business maneuver. It's a direct threat to the safety or freedom of someone she genuinely cares about, perhaps Diane or even an innocent conflict. This time, the lie isn't just about Noah's safety. It's about a cold-hearted, calculated move that threatens the very foundation of Genoa City's stability and brings back the ruthlessness of the 90s Victor she swore she'd never tolerate again. Nikki must be forced to take a side against her husband for the first time in years. The ultimate burst. Nikki must give up her title as Victor's co-CEO or take a dramatic, career-altering step to sabotage Victor's play. This can't be a temporary separation. Victor needs to genuinely fear the loss of his most valued asset and partner. Imagine Nikki, fueled by righteous anger, allied with Jack, working against Victor in a new corporate entity. The mustache must realize his obsession with power has driven away the one person he truly loves. 3. Adam and Chelsea Newman, the lackluster reunion. Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, and Chelsea Lawson Newman, Melissa Claire Egan, are back together, but their reunion is widely criticized for being a snooze fest. Adam has lost his dangerous edge, and Chelsea seems to need him simply to remain relevant on the canvas. Their current state is far too healthy and functional for two of Genoa City's most notoriously troubled characters. The blissful bubble, shared parenting of Connor, a mutual desire for a normal life, and Adam's conscious effort to be a good guy. They've become a generic, non-confrontational, co-parenting unit. The needed drama, a return to dangerous instincts. Adam and Chelsea are exciting when they're on the edge, scheming, or dealing with the fallout of their past misdeeds. Let's make them dangerous again. The shocking twist, Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, returns to Genoa City not for revenge, but because she's on the run from a major Hollywood scandal, one that could destroy her new design empire. She comes straight to Adam for help, knowing only he can navigate the moral gray areas required to save her. Their passionate connection instantly reignites, threatening Adam's good guy persona. The conflict, Chelsea, still battling her own psychological demons and fearing a relapse into her past instability, witnesses the unmistakable chemistry between Adam and Sally. Simultaneously, Connor begins acting out due to the instability, and his behavior leads Chelsea to suspect a sinister side of Adam is resurfacing, perhaps tied to his old, ruthless business dealings. The ultimate burst. Adam, trying to save Sally, makes a morally compromising choice, perhaps involving money laundering or blackmail, that is exposed publicly. Chelsea is forced to decide if she can truly sacrifice her and Connor's stability for the man she loves. She must leave him, not because he cheated, but because his true, dark self is resurfacing and she cannot risk her mental health. This break must be decisive and dramatic, paving the way for Adam and Sally's inevitable, volatile reunion. For Devon Hamilton and Abby Newman Abbott, the background noise. Devon Hamilton, Sean Dominic, and Abby Newman Abbott, Melissa Ordway, were a sensational, forbidden pairing when they first had their affair. But now, they faded into the background, rarely seen and lacking any real conflict. They have become Genoa City's most boring, yet ridiculously wealthy couple. The blissful bubble, mutual love, shared child, Dominic, and a comfortable life free of corporate intrigue or personal scandal. They are the definition of too happy. The needed drama, a ghost from the past and a new temptation. Their relationship desperately needs an outside threat, one that strikes at the heart of their unique, blended family dynamic. The shocking twist. Chance Chancellor Connor Floyd returns to Genoa City. But he's not back to reclaim his wife. He's back with a new love interest, someone who poses a direct threat to Devon's business, a ruthless competitor in the music/media space. The four forced into constant, awkward social and professional contact. The conflict. Seeing Chance happy and professionally successful forces Abby to question her impulsive choices and her seemingly too easy relationship with Devon. At the same time, Devon starts spending significant time with Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, on a new business venture, perhaps involving the former Abbott Communications, and the old spark between them ignites. Lily, reconsidering her stance on Kane, finds herself increasingly drawn back to the reliable comfort of Devon. The ultimate burst. Abby, feeling insecure about the rekindled Lane connection and the new woman in Chance's life, makes a desperate, impulsive move, such as proposing a sudden, second child to solidify her bond with Devon. Devon hesitates, confused by his feelings for Lily, which leads to a massive blowout where the true, unresolved feelings from their history, the original affair, the custody drama, are finally laid bare. The child they have together, Dominic, becomes the ultimate emotional casualty of their broken relationship. Devon must choose between the safe, yet stagnant, life with Abby and the familiar, deep connection with his ex-wife Lily, whose own life is swirling with Kane-related chaos.